Chairman, members of the committee. Redneck homophobe from Farmington for 1930. We'll get into that in a few minutes. But I thank you first for hearing this bill, Mr. Chairman. I know that you've had committee members and chamber members in the chamber speak to you and outside to ask you not to hear this bill or not to vote on this bill. I know for a couple of reasons, political and probably homophobic reasons. One political I'd like to address. This act enjoys a 75% approval rating. It enjoys over 90% approval rating for voters under the age of 40. Politically, ask the senators who voted for it last year on the last day. There was no recall. There was no bounce back. Senator Romine voted for it, had 2 people out of his 186,000 people talk to him about it. The other part, the homophobic problem, I can't help you with. If you don't believe that, I'd ask the members when they're on their spring break this next week, go and ask your friends, did you know that Missouri is one of a handful of states that still has it on the book that if you, as an employee, admit to being a homosexual, you can be fired for just cause. You can't claim unemployment because it's for just cause. They will be shocked. If they're not shocked and they say good, then you might find some more friends. The reason I came across this, and this is where I talked about the 12 years ago, I carried the bill that we voted on. Some of you were in high school. That for against gay marriage. I would file that bill today. I believe in the sanctity of marriage between a man and a woman. But not too long after we voted on that bill, someone in my Senate district came up to me and told me they were fired. What was the problem? Well, they asked me if I was gay. They heard that I was gay. What, did you do anything at the workplace? Did you come on to somebody? Did you? No. That they heard through the community that I was gay, so they fired me. And I went to seek unemployment. They said, you can't. They fired you for just cause. I couldn't believe, wait a second. That's not true. No, it's true. I had a second case in a different county. And so I started signing on to the bills over in the Senate saying, this is wrong. This is wrong. We can differentiate those of us that believe that marriage should be between a man and a woman, and discriminating with people, treating them unfairly, persecuting. Because if you don't think being fired for any other reason than that, and not being able to claim unemployment is persecution, I would differ with you. This is a matter of fairness. So, what we do is we title the bill Employment Law Reform. I know a lot of you haven't been here a long time. Representative Walker has. We used to call these vehicles. We don't have them anymore. We get down to the last week of the session and we say, oh my gosh, we've agreed on doing this. We've agreed I'm going to use your bill that you just testified to. We've agreed that we're going to do this work compensation bill. Now, what do? Well, let's change the title of one that's moving, and we'll put this in, and then we got a Hammersmith problem. Then we got a problem because we can't get the thing through because what it's hanging on. Then one time, a couple years ago, when I was over the other side, you all came over and had took my bill and started adding everything on it, and I saw the new version, and it didn't have my bill in it. You'd taken the main part of the bill, the subject of the bill out, which is kind of interesting, but that's what you have to do when you have no vehicles. So what we used to do is create vehicles, park those vehicles in a position where they could be driven in the last week of the session on agreed upon subject matter. And I'm going to admit to the, looks like the Democrat side here, that this comes to the floor, it will not be in this form. We are going to have 2 or 3, I'm going to use your bill as a great example. We haven't been able to get bills, pro-business bills across the line. There will be some bills in there that you're going to have to hold your nose. It will not be tort reform. It will not be right to work or paycheck protection, sorry, but there will be some very positive business bills. But it will also contain this language. And that's the idea, is at that time we get with the Senate, we say these are the pro-business bills that we can get done. We're going to put it on this vehicle. The governor's going to have to make a decision whether to veto this or make it go forward. That's how things have been done. Carnahan, Blunt, that's the way they were done. It was a compromise thing. Well, here's some part of the bills that I hate. Here's some part of the bills that you hate. We're going to go forward with the bill. Now we either got to override the veto and not get any Democrat votes, or vice versa. I would like to create a vehicle that, and I don't have any in the agenda, but that might be a great example of a bill that we put on there because it's under employment law reform. Okay? We get to the floor, we decide in the Senate, these are the 2 or 3 business bills that are going forward. It's going to go along with this bill because this bill is fair on the underlying subject matter. If you don't believe it, ask your kids or your grandkids. This is the people that are freaking about this. I'm the guy that did the bill against gay marriage. I'm not freaking about this. We have to distinguish between the marriage issue and how we treat people. Now, I don't know how you do your committee, Mr. Chairman, as far as response. I don't want to be up here when people are testifying against because I don't want to stare at them. But I do see some good friends in the audience, and I want to address that. I wanted to tell you, I came up with this list: Ameren, Boeing, Cerner, DST, Emerson Enterprise, Ford, MasterCard, Noranda, Peabody Energy. I don't know if you know what that they have in common. They are AIM, Circle of the Elite organizations. They are also a group that's every one of them has adopted the Gay and Lesbian Protection Act language in their workforces. 71% of the small business in Missouri agree that we need to do this. Over 80% of the employees in the state are already covered by this. They're trying to drag the state along. So I thought I'd mention that because I'm sure that, and I submitted to you a partial list of organizations. I hope you got all the state employees, including my own, Edward Jones, that already have this language. This is just partial. This does include companies like Wells Fargo, who are domiciled out of the state, and Ford, and General Motors. 80% of our employees are covered already. So I wanted to bring that up because I'm sure that the Chamber's members wouldn't have adopted publicly these policies and would privately tell their organization up here to try to kill them. So the other thing, Catholic organization met with 7 weeks ago because they weren't comfortable with the language, even though it's covered in federal law that a religious organization, say like the Assembly of God headquarters or Catholic Church, does not pertain to this. They wouldn't be expected to hire somebody that didn't have the beliefs of the organization that they are going to work for. That's in federal law. I said I was open to doing a belt and suspenders support, where if they want to give me some language that would take care of that, but I will not amend the Arizona language that was last week. I'm still waiting for that language. I see they're here today. If they're testifying, I'm sure they're going to bring that language forth to you all, to what the possible thing could be amended, because I wouldn't want to be embarrassed by being Catholic here today. So I have seen even the religious organization, including the Pope, the Archbishop, that have put out letters in this past 2 months on this very subject. All of them, when you talk about them or look at them, they all talk about love, compassion. We're all made in God's image. And so I would hope that a lot of our religious organizations wouldn't testify against this. And if they do, I would hope that somebody would ask them where in the New Testament that they would see that people should be persecuted for this, because I doubt if they'll have it. With that, Mr. Chairman, I'd be happy to answer any questions. It's got your bill in there. If you see, the first part is all on the sexual orientation, gender identity, and then the second part deals with the current. This is a sub, and the reason it's a sub, there's a couple things they changed in the Senate committee. We went ahead and right now wanted to make it mirror that. They're minor changes. I'll go over those if you'd like. But realistically, we can sit and talk about the details of all. It will be changed before it gets to the floor. And I know we can't do floor subs over from this side of the building the way we could over the other, but they will all be done openly. And my idea is to bring these pro-business bills up on the floor, amend it, and have debate. Some people will vote against every one. We will have floor debate and probably have votes on every one of them, and we can decide which ones are going to go forth to try to get to the governor's desk. I'd be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Do members of the committee have questions of the bill handler? I'd like to hear now from the first witness to...
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, I was asked if we'd like a lot of witnesses to come forward today. I'm talking about flood the room and thing, and I said no. I can't stop anybody from testifying, but if we have some witnesses, I did ask one group that represents this group to testify. Other than that, I think we may have another person or two, and then I know we'll have several in opposition or for information. Thank you.
I'd like to hear from someone in favor of the bill.
Like I said, I thought somebody was.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, my name is Ben Burkemper. I'm the legislative director for the Attorney General's office, and we are on record in support of the bill. Any questions if you'd like?
Thank you, sir.
I didn't realize that.
Have I others here in favor of the bill?
Thank you.
And I would remind everyone to please leave a witness form.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is AJ Bachman. I'm the executive director and main lobbyist for PROMO, which is Missouri's statewide lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender advocacy organization. We've introduced and worked with different legislators ever since 1999 to support adding sexual orientation and gender identity into this bill. And I'm here in support of specifically that portion of this bill. Since 1999, we've seen over 21 states adopt these provisions. It's a strong measure amongst corporate America. Over 95% of Fortune 500 companies already have these basic protections. We believe that it sends a strong message that a workplace is open and accepting to all types of work to enhance their workforce. Over the last several years, we've extended basic protections in about 15 different municipalities around the state. That covers roughly 1/3 of the individuals in the state. But we are not going to stop until we get to covering the entire state. Since the mid-1990s, St. Louis, Kansas City, and Columbia have had these basic protections. And only a limited number of claims have actually been filed against, based upon sexual orientation or gender identity. While it's a limited number, it does prove that there are that the discrimination does take place and it exists. This portion of the bill does not cover any quotas or any mandatory hiring requirements. It allows employers to still maintain their standards for code of conduct, and it still has a broad religious exemption for churches and religiously affiliated entities to maintain a faith requirement in their own employment practices. These policies are put in place by companies because they want to attract and retain the most viable, active, and forward-thinking talent, the best and the brightest. Increasingly, surveys tell us that having support for the LGBT community in a workplace policy or at a municipal or even at a state level is an indicator of a forward-thinking company or organization or a state. And whether you identify as part of the LGBT community or not, it actually is a sign for many younger people when they choose to move to a new environment. Open to anything.
Any questions of the witness? Thank you, sir. Appreciate your testimony. Others to testify for the proposal?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I'll be brief. Tricia Workman here today representing Monsanto Company. We do have policies in place that the Senator referred to. I have a letter from our General Counsel highlighting our support of this, and we see it not as a program, but the right way to do business.
you very much. Are there others? None appearing? Did I hear those in opposition?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Again, my name is Jay Atkins. I am the General Counsel of the Missouri Chamber of Commerce and Industry. I'm here to testify in opposition to this bill, which is admittedly difficult to do when the opening framework for this bill would cast anyone in opposition as homophobic or a bigot. I would suggest that there is an alternative analysis. The Chamber, in fact, has a number of members, as the Senator indicated, that do have, as a matter of policy, protections for members of the LGBT community, and we applaud them for that. We do agree that it is good business, and we hope that that trend continues to grow amongst our members. But there is a dramatic difference between having such policies as a matter of policy in the workplace and creating an entire new cause of action that exposes all Missouri employers to further liability under employment law. That is what the Chamber opposes about this. The Chamber would oppose the creation of any new protected class that exposes Missouri businesses to increased liability in our courts. Beyond that, we would also, we do appreciate that Senator Engler has added some other language into this bill. The change in definition from motivating factor, from contributing factor to motivating factor is something the Chamber has historically supported. This particular language certainly needs to be tightened up a little bit before we would fully support it. But we appreciate that it's in there. And the unemployment insurance piece that is in there as well, the Chamber would support. Happy to answer any questions.
Representative Walker?
To inquire.
Go ahead.
So, gentlemen, let me get this clear. You're distinguishing that somebody who may be gay, that's a classification that's less important than sexual discrimination as far as male and female, or any other discrimination that's covered by federal law or state law?
I don't believe that was my testimony, no, sir.
Okay. What was your just tell me again why you're so, I know that there's discrimination. And, if anybody wants to say there isn't, I'll just give you a little example. About 2 years ago, or a little less, I became a candidate for state representative. The representative that I'm replaced is the first gay Republican legislator to say come out of the closet or to say that he was gay. And I represent a district